The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think he missed the complete. He's crazy.
As I said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
In 1978, the French-Canadian Gilles Villeneuve took home the checkered flag at this circuit to the delight of his home crowd behind the wheel of his Ferrari. Tonight we're getting set to see multiple Ferraris do battle on this circuit, as well as Fords, Mercedes, Audis and Corvettes, as we welcome you to round 9 of the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge live on the global SimRacing channel. Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and with me in the booth tonight is Sean Ambrose, who will be covering the Daytona Prototype and the GT3 classes, as well as Justin Prince, who will bring us all the action in the GTE class. Behind the scenes we have our director Amjad Yamin doing all of the button pushing, and he's using camera sets provided by the one and only Dougie Beard. Just in the last 2 weeks we've been to some massive road courses where maybe there was some room to get away with mistakes. However, that is far from the case here.
Yeah, it definitely is, because we have a great track and also a very difficult track for those set mistakes. A 2.7 mile circuit with 13 turns to focus on. With that being said, because this is a man-made track, there's not a lot of space for, say, grass. So one mistake, you can end up hitting the outside or the inside walls. In fact, there's a reason there's the Wall of Champions out of the last corner in Quebec Wall. That is the most challenging of the groupings. To help explain more though, let's head to your GSRC lap guide.
Alright, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Down into turn 1, it's kind of a chicane, but it's got hairpin, so let's call it a haircane. Regardless, it's a very slow corner and a tricky passing spot despite the heavy braking. The inside puts you outside at the hairpin, and the outside runs the risk of getting chopped off when it switches. Now we head towards the 3-4 chicane. The exit wall just dares you to try getting on the power, but there's a fine line between looking brave and looking foolish. Flat out through 5, but it's blind, so keep your head up for accidents. Then we immediately brake for 6. Keep it tight to the left so you can really get on the power early through 7. If your car likes to push, you'll be at a huge disadvantage here because the wall on the outside is waiting for any understeering cars to paint it new colors. Now it's a gentle curve down to the 8-9 chicane. As always, set yourself up for the exit, but here, it's really important. The run to the casino hairpin is not the place where you want someone to have an opportunity to get a nose in. Literally every other braking zone is a chicane, so everyone will be hungry for a straightforward pass. If they do get a run, your best hope is a switchback. Get your car slowed, get it to rotate, put the power down, and hope you can outdrag your rival. Thankfully, the draft will be there to help you along if you need it down this long straightaway. But once again, it'll be better to be fully past someone than fighting side by side, because now we'll be coming up on the infamous Wall of Champions. Take it easy on the big inside curves because an unsettled car is more likely to meet concrete. It's all a game of how much speed do I carry through here. For your ego's sake, treat it with respect. But as long as you survived, you've now finished a lap around Montreal.
With this being a run during an iRacing official series race, we're currently in week 9 of 12 of the season. That means there aren't a whole lot of opportunities left, Sean, to get points on the board.
No, sir, there aren't. This season 3 is winding down, but let's look at those points now. Here we go. In the prototype class, Sam Fitzpatrick, Fitz, he sits there up on top with 199 points. Carlo Labate, second. Michael Padoka, 18 points behind, just a point separating him and Labate. And go a little bit farther back to Gabriel Ruse, who sits in a pretty comfortable spot there in fourth, because then you've got to go back all the way about another 34 points to get back to Luis Paulo Gallen, who've seen him just be awful fast in that prototype all season, but struggling in the points there to get up to the top. Now let's look at the GTE point standings. These also very important here, and Benjamin Perez sitting there at the top with 171 points. Brian Sutton hot on his trail right now as this season closes down. 4 races left to go. And Elliott Biddle alone in third with 48 points, but only 10 points behind him. Jonathan Brault in fourth. And then another 9 points back. You've got Reinaldo Lerna, who we've seen many times, and I've said his name several times, and I stumbled there, but he's in fifth in the GT. Let's look at the GT3 standings real quickly here, and look what we got going on here. Now, Yavi Gutierrez is only 4 points ahead of Dexter Castro. Castro said earlier he's finding it hard to keep pace with him. Tonight could be a chance for Castro to get a little bit closer, go ahead, or really start to show that Yavi's pulling away. But we'll see. CM Skinner in third. Renz Brinkman, they're in fourth. And Cameron Barry, just a point back from Renz, they're in fifth.
Now, of course, with this being an official iRacing series, there's no reason, even though these guys are fighting for the championship, that the drivers have to commit to every single race. So, even though you just saw 15 names there, the top 5 for each division, only 8 of them are actually here tonight. In Prototype, we have Sam Fitzpatrick, Carlo Labate, and Michael Avdoka, the top 3 fighting for the championship. Benjamin Perez, Elliott Biddle, and Jonathan Brault all here in GTE. And in GT3, we have the top 2 in the points, Javi Gutierrez and Dexter Castro. What you see going on right now is qualifying. All these drivers have the track to themselves for 2 laps. Justin, the good news here is the fact that it's short track. If you do make a mistake, or if you can't get out there that early in the session, you do have time for another chance.
Yeah, the times for the most part are in the 1:27 range if you're in the prototypes, to about 1:30 in the GTEs, to 1:32 on back for everyone else. So you got fast times basically throughout the field. It's a quick road course, of course. You're seeing a lot of cars already stopping for their laps here, and a few others with their seconds, but it's a pretty tightly packed field when you look at the lap times, because everyone's really within 8 seconds of each other, especially those GTEs and those GT3s. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some GT3s and the fast cars cut through the slower part of the GTEs early on in the 45 minutes here.
Yeah, 45 minutes, Sean. That's going to be about a 30-lap race for the Corvette DP cars up front. So we're going to see these drivers make about 1 stop during the race, probably shortly after the halfway point.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good mark. Now the window is, it's not very wide. The window of opportunity there for pits, we're maybe guessing a little bit. There may be a little fuel drama. 1 stop will definitely get it done, but very important where you do that. A halfway point is probably going to be the safe zone for all 3 classes here. All 3 classes pretty well represented this week. The GT3s, actually 9 cars in the field. That's pretty darn good. The thing that scares me about that GT3 class is the strength of field in the GT3s, guys. 42.89. There are some very, very fast racers, iRacers in that class.
And that's not something the guy on screen, Dexter Castro, will want to hear, because that the extra competition could impede his ability of challenging Javi Gutierrez for the top position in that GT3 championship. Now, another car on track right now is the number 24 of Clint Shane Smith, and you didn't see him on our point scoring screen. I believe he is 6th in the prototype championship right now, but he has been on a roll recently, and right now on the provisional pole position in the DP class. Let's see if he can get a win today.
Yeah, boy, that would be a big shot in the arm for him. He does just sit outside in 6th. And like you said, Sam, he has been wicked fast. Certainly right now, it looks like he's got the legs here at Montreal.
And I'm noticing in the GTE class, Justin, the largest of our classes that you'll be covering with the Ferraris and Fords, some names we're not too familiar with quite high up.
Yeah, there are some new drivers, it seems, for this time slot that we have to be honest, never seen in this time slot a few of these drivers. Like the top time in the GTs, for example, is Gianni Vaccaro, currently with a 134. That is about a tenth faster than Jonathan Brault, a familiar name in that level. But of course, since it is an official race, this is the time where you see drivers like that who have a chance to really make a name for themselves if they want to here in this kind of session, as qualifying is just about done, my friend.
Yeah, it looks like qualifying is over, so let's go through the grid, starting with a very small DP field being led by the aforementioned Clint Smith, ahead of Sam Fitzpatrick by over 0.3 of a second. Michael Avdoka will start third ahead of Christopher Hendrick, and then we have Aaron Thacker and Ahmed Albaz rounding out the 6-car field, Justin.
And in your GTEs, just mentioned him, Gianni Vecchio starting off on the pole for the GTEs alongside Jonathan Brault. Moreno Reyes in row 2 along with Lucas Stolzer, another newcomer to this time slot. Benjamin Perez, your current points leader, is in row 3 along with Elliot Biddle. Alex Simonik along with Daniel Krasowski follows them in row number 4 for the GTEs. Miguel Vigo and Ryan O'Sullivan have 15th and 16th overall. While Kimberly Almeida and Jesse Stevens go with the Bakers into 9th, for the overall grid. Pascal Enalki and Jamie Lavelle in row 10 overall on the grid. A few more drivers, of course, a gigantic field as Ronnie Chapman alongside Roman Gala, Nathan Groden, and Jose Ramon Brora. And a few cars were slower than the GT3s in Lev Peterson and Pierre-Antoine Guerre. 2 cars did not run times, Scott Kozlowski and Alexandre Kandrol.
GT3s, Rocky Garcia. On the pole, Yavi Utrera second, Daniel Cruz third, Gaori Zajan will start 4th, Benjamin Dumont in 5th, Dexter Castro starting 6th today, Ross Rizzo from Australia starting 7th, Chris Houston will be 8th, and Sergio Lopez going to be at the back here starting in 9th. We got a pretty fast field here in the GT3s, and in this entire field we've got 30, how many cars is that, guys? 39 cars here, all ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, 39 cars and 8 DPs, not 6 as I mentioned. You saw there were 2 DPs that didn't qualify, who were at the bottom of the list there, Carlo Labate and Blake Haswell, but they will get to start with their class, which as you see is rolling off now. And I mentioned they'll get to start with their class, not the case for Carlo Labate. I can confirm he will be starting from the pits, so the driver sitting second in the DP points, gonna have his work cut out for him tonight. Short pace lap here, they start the cars on the back straight, they go through this final chicane, and then they will take the green flag for 45 minutes of racing here. Shane Smith has the pole position on the inside for the first corner. He's already on the loud pedal, and we are underway here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve with Smith the leading away, but a change for second, and Michael Avdoka at second place, battles on for third. Justin.
And Vecchio having a great jump to start off in their GTEs as they go into the first bend themselves. A lot of drivers already going single file through the field. Very close battle between Krasowski and Vigo for position into the first turns. But right now, Vecchio and Brault running away to start off. Dolzer and Reyes rounding out with Biddle in the top 5. Sean?
Boy, and those Ferraris that got a miss there, they stack up this GT3 field trying to get started. Still, Rocky Garcia in the lead. I'm sorry, it's Yavi Utrera is actually on point right now.
Yeah, chaotic start at the back of the
Very
GT3
chaotic
field there. I think it was Leif Peterson was spun, and I think Benjamin Dumont was involved. We get a replay of it here, just catching the tail end. You see, boy, it's rare to have an incident that far down the front straight.
Well, we did mention that this is not a forgiving track for mistakes like that, and as you saw, there was nowhere to go for a lot of cars, and it really mixed things up in the GT3s, essentially, with that mistake.
Yeah, might have to give a rundown of the top 5 of the top 3 classes here pretty early on because Avdoka spins from 3rd place in DP. He had been running nice in 3rd, still early on in the run. Tyres a little bit cold, but he gets going again. Actually, I think he only lost a couple positions. There you see, he's now down to 6th. What happens here? Does he take too much curb? Yeah, seems to be the culprit.
Yeah, that's a very tough corner to maintain with those very hard bumps. You gotta hope for some luck throughout that entire section, really. And unfortunately for Avdoka, it does bite him in that DPs. It's going to be something that's going to be biting everyone all night long.
Guys, Yavi Gutierrez back here in the GT3s is already catching up to this GTE traffic in front of him. It's making for some pretty close racing here early on. He's got Zajan right on his tail. Zajan gets a great start. Man, I'll tell you what, though, that stack up on the opening there of the race really, really hurt Rocky Garcia all the way back to 6th. After starting on a pole, he's got a lot of work to do, a lot of recovery. Finds himself 4 seconds behind the leader, Yavi Gutierrez now.
Yeah, but he's actually had a good lap this lap around. He started the lap.
The car spinning. Scott Cisłowski and his Ferrari spins right off in front of our GT3 leaders.
A lot of drama in the early going here. To be expected, I should imagine, on the street circuit with 39 cars. But none of them have really been, well, except for the one at the very start, multi-car incidents.
Yeah, but a lot can change, of course, still, since there's still a lot of time to go. I keep on saying that, but it's the truth, as one mistake could really cause everybody's days to go upside down here.
Yeah, say 39 cars started the race, well, they were meant to. We talked about Carlo Labate being in the pits. Don't know what his problem was. He never actually started the race. He's no longer in the session, so a DNS for Carlo Labate, 2nd in the points coming into tonight.
Wow. Yavi Gutierrez is working on Pierre-Antoine Giguère in his Ford GT. And I honestly, Giguère almost looks like he's holding him up just a little bit. Yavi wants to fly because Zajan is right behind him and not giving him any quarter.
Yeah, another driver not too happy with traffic right now, I've got to imagine, Justin, is Jonathan Brolte there. He's in a DP sandwich in his Ferrari.
Yeah, those are some of these slower DPs that they're currently battling with, the current leaders. And because of that, he's got separation. You got Vecchio getting some help with the traffic with the DPs. And look at this.
Big stack up down here in the hairpin. And Lepingle.
Oh my goodness, that is not a good mix. Let's take a look at this here on the GSRC replay, pardon me. As that was just about what I was going to get to as well. Because that was a GTE sandwich really. And Biddle just getting turned around there. Couple of cars getting some bumps, but Biddle able to keep it going. No major pileups, luckily.
Yeah, it's a Ferrari of Kilmeny, Almeida gets into him, does damage to the right front of that car.
Yeah, and somehow they all then got through the next chicane all bunched up on top of each other. The problem for the GT3 leaders, Sean, is they're right behind these Ferraris all battling for position in the train.
Yeah, and let's face it, the GT3s are actually really performing well here and are making this a very, very close race, but it's going to bring the rest of the GT3 field to the leaders.
And they're about to come up to Ahmed Elbaz, a DP, who has spun out of this next chicane they're all coming up to. And they've got to be careful he doesn't try and pull back on the track in front of him. You'll see he basically loses traction on the exit of a turn. He's been running towards the end of the DP field anyway. Good news for the GT3 and GTE cars. Elbaz has been respectful and has pulled off the track until most of the cars have gotten safely on by.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, real tricky getting by Albaz. He had trouble pulling out of there, Sam. Finally gets it going again. It's Chris Houston passing on, let's see, who was that? Was that Houston being passed? I'm sorry, by Benjamin Dumont. Picking up a spot, moving up to 6th.
Well, normally we wait until about the halfway point to do this, but the opening laps have been so chaotic. Let's go ahead and run down the top 5 of each class. Right now, Clint Shane Smith is off to a good start in DP. He's got Sam Fitzpatrick 2 seconds behind him. Then Christopher Hendricks is the driver who moved up into 3rd when Evdoka had his moment. Blake Haswell and Michael Evdoka running 4th and 5th. Evdoka thinking about getting back up to the podium, Justin.
And in your GTEs, pardon me, Gianni Vecchio currently leads them off right now. Following closely, though, is Jonathan Brault, just half a second back. But because of the train right behind him, the gap is slowly closing as Lucas Dolzer is in 3rd spot overall in those GTEs, followed by Marino Reyes, as well as Benjamin Perez rounding out the top 5. Sean?
Yeah, we got the GT3 class right now. Yavi Utreras holding on, just holding on, because Gayoni Zajan sitting just half a second behind him, has had great pace. Dexter Castro, tremendous start for him. He is in 3rd. Go back to 4th. It's Ross Rizzo, who is right on his tail and letting the GTE of Scott Zizlowski race with them there in the hairpin. Oh boy, and a slip there. Rocky Garcia going to get by Ross Rizzo, so Rocky Garcia going to go to 4th, and 5th going to go to Ross Rizzo now.
Of course, one development that will be interesting to watch is the drivers we usually do see at the top having rough starts. One of them, of course, being Elliot Biddle, who's trying to work his way back up through the GT3 field, Justin.
Yes, he had been bumped into the tight hairpin there a few minutes ago, and he is just trying to work his way back through. He is still 16th overall in GTEs, but is climbing up fast. He does have the speed needed to move his way up, but we'll see.
Yeah, GTE, of course, I mean, it's just number 3 the wrong way around there. Elliot Biddle. He's only got 36 minutes left. That's the problem here, but he does have 1 pit stop.
That's all right, Sam. Soup has his rods and cones, and you have your mastery of the English language. It's all right. We still love it.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, though, too, is if we look from above for some of these cars, you might be thinking, oh, it's nice, simple racing. It seems pretty easy to drive on this track. Then you jump into the cockpit, for example, of one of these guys, and it's like trying to manage having a bunch of fire around you to keep these guys around. Because take a look at this from Alex Simonik, for example, just outside the top 5. These cars are zooming from as fast as 150 miles per hour into these corners, having to go down to as slow as maybe 50 at times, and having to hope they just do not hit the gas too hard to lose it. That's the case for a lot of these classes, especially in the GTEs in this case, because they really are bouncing around a lot, like the DPs have been for much of this race already.
Okay, we missed a big pass in the GT3 class. Rocky Garcia able to clear Dexter Castro back in turn 4. That chicane. Oh! And now they've got trouble behind them.
Yeah, you might want to scratch that pass. I think it involved Castro and Rizzo, actually. Let's take a look at the replay.
Rizzo going to go around. That was in turn 1.
And these two had it coming together last race at Road America. Looks like more of the same there.
It was actually in turn 2 there in Veracena.
Good news is it wasn't as costly. I recall Rizzo had his work cut out for him early on in the day last week at Road America. Here he's still running in the top 5 with a fairly clean car.
Yeah, Rocky Garcia's problem now is he's got these slower GTEs, so they're a little bit off pace, and now Ahmed Elbaz was door-to-door with Zajan. That DP finally gets by Zajan, but Zajan really getting separated now from Yavi Utreras, who's been able to get out to about a 3.5 second lead.
Someone who hasn't been having a clean ride in the GTEs has been Leif Peterson. He went around once again through 6 and 7, section 2 of the track. You can see some of the damage there. He was lucky that Hendrick had just been entering the corner when he got back going, but he is currently, as you see, dead last in your GTEs. It takes let's go look at your GT3, Sean.
Oh, Zajan, I'm sorry. Zajan and Garcia get together. Oh, that was, man, Garcia was trying to get position on the inside. Zajan hits him. They get door to door. That's on board with Rocky. You see him going down into turn 1 here. Rocky got to pull up alongside, go down in. Yeah, that door to door contact tips him, sends him around.
Yeah, you never want to have a collision. We've seen 2 collisions there, though, in the last 2 laps, and both times the drivers have been able to get away with it. The good news, a slow entry speed and a slow exit speed, so you're not losing a whole lot when you do have a bit of a coming together there. Meanwhile, we were just looking at the back of a GTE field, but I've been watching a little skirmish in the middle of a GTE field, Justin, with Iannucci, Stevens, and Levy.
Yeah, those guys all lining up right now. That battle starting to tighten up. You also have Almeida at the back, just about slowly crawling to them. You're seeing this is about for the top 10 spots here. With this battle, you can see Aneki having a horrible entry and almost actually lost the position as everyone backed off a bit. It could have been a disaster there with Jesse Stevens. He almost got rear-ended by Vinela through that corner. But look at this battle. This is a case for a lot of different groupings here, especially in this top 10. This is one of the closest actions right now. As you can see, Stevens wanting to get by, but does not get the exit he needs right there.
Yeah, he's got pressure from behind from Leville, who is the top running Ford GT in the race. We haven't seen a lot of the Fords recently at the larger tracks. They're having a bit of a comeback here at Montreal. I think we've got 3 of them in this field today. Unfortunately, none of them in the top half of the field. Right now, Ferraris have that locked down, but Leville in that number 17 car trying to break through.
And as you were discussing that there, Marino Reyes almost got the pass by Lucas Daltzer for 3rd and just could not hold it coming out of the hairpin. So it's back to single file for that grouping as well. It's been fairly common, that grouping there. That was the first pass attempt, really. Lucas Daltzer, though, fighting the charge from all 4 of those guys, including Benjamin Perez.
All right, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned much about the DPs yet because they're a bit spread out, but I'm worried we might want to keep the camera on them a little bit more because already, just 15 minutes into this race, they have hit lap traffic on this short circuit, Sean.
You know, Sam, you're reading my mind, buddy. That's exactly where they're at. Not only the other classes, but the car of Ahmed Elbaz right up in front of Clint Shane Smith. Clint going to have to manage this, going to catch him at a good spot. Coming down the front straight here into turn 1. Clint going to clear him, no problem. Albaz has had a rough start to this race, Sam. He's been around a few times. Finds himself now a lap down in his own class. Clint Shane Smith going to have all these GT3s to get through now. Or is that a slow? No, that's actually a slow GTE right in front of him. Alexander Cunel. And then Benjamin Dumont, who is currently 6th overall in the GT3 field.
Yeah, the GT3s are rear. Oh, and Dumont gets rear-ended there. That could have been bad if Cunel and Dumont had spun out ahead of Smith. But this shows you how close the GT3 field is. Smith only just started lapping them, and now he's already lapping the 6th in class. Oh, this is going to get bad. Oh, somehow they all avoided each other there.
Yeah, that is definitely not a good spot to go too wide.
Didn't look like it was going to end well. I'll tell you what, Sam, up here in the front of the GT3s, Dexter Castro right now is fighting with Zajan.
A bit of a drift there by Albaz and the hairpin. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, Albaz it's not been great for him so far. I was trying to create a battle here between Castro and Zajan, and then Castro lost him down the straight, but Castro has been closing here over the last couple laps, and that second spot not secure at all. Yavi Gutierrez, though, an 8-second lead right now in the GT3 class. He has really opened things up.
But fourth just changed behind him. You may have seen Garcia get that spot. Now, Canal actually just ended up in the pits. I wonder if he was involved in an incident.
He was, Sam, and he put his name on the wall, buddy.
I'll be champion one day then.
You know, somewhere where you don't have to create action and battles for positions, the GTEs around that top 10 spot we were talking about before, and Neki may has pulled away, but look at this in P3. Meanwhile, Marino Reyes going for the pass on Lucas Dolzer, gets underneath, and Reyes finally able to get by. And meanwhile, Benjamin Perez now going to have to hold off the position. That's Simonik, making it too wide. Both positions battling. And look at this. Dolzer getting the position back. Simonik getting back by Perez. And Reyes drops all the way to 6th. All in that chicane.
I think Reyes, did he ever slow down? Because he gave up a lot of spots there.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of drivers, when they get good runs out of the Quebec, coming out of that last corner, have been having slowdowns. So it's possible with those bumps, maybe, that he might have, who knows, maybe got a slight quarter of a second cutting the course. We've seen that a lot, it seems, with drivers in that section, slowing down after gaining positions.
Sorry, guys. Dexter Castro gets turned around. Going into turn 1. Him and Rocky Garcia get into it.
Both get going again.
Oh, Rocky tries to take the line inside here. And, well, I don't know. Rocky came all the way in, down inside in the red.
Yeah, we've had some of the cleanest wrecks today that you'll ever see in turns 1 and 2, but
wow. Rocky Garcia parked it.
Meanwhile, scheduled stops have started. Aaron Thacker just came into the pits. He'd been having a pretty solid day in DP. And Jose Ramon Barella kicks off pit stops in GTE.
Yeah, he was in traffic at the back part of the GTE grouping, probably deciding it's may as well put it in now with all this traffic around him. And it's going to be probably just getting the fuel together, getting as much as he can filled up. You can see Vecchio, meanwhile, with that 2.6 second lead, is about half a track around the corner. Barella already coming towards the pit exit, meanwhile, while Vecchio coming through that chicane.
Yeah, and our overall leader, Clint Shane Smith, pulls into his pit stop. So, of course, Sam Fitzpatrick will now inherit the lead, but we'll have to pit. I'm surprised. Maybe he couldn't have pit earlier due to the fuel limitation, Sean, but I'm sure Smith wouldn't have minded pitting a little bit earlier to get out of that traffic he was in.
Yeah. When if I'm ever mired in traffic like that, I'm close to my window, I want to just go ahead and come on in and take care of it. So, good call there. None of our GT3s have decided to come in yet. They haven't quite hit their window. I still think they've got just a few laps here under their belts before they actually need to come in. Yavi Gutierrez still in command of the lead, 11.5 seconds in front of Georgi Zazan, who sits in second, and Dexter Castro in third, guys.
And Miguel Vigo, meanwhile, in the GTEs now going in. He was also near the end of that grouping in traffic as he's bringing this one in. The pit average was about 11 seconds with Barella. You can see some damage because these cars have been sliding against the walls with this tight circuit. He's going to get some fuel, the Florida native.
Zadron is in.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Zadron is into the pits. Houston's coming in too.
Oh boy, and trouble big trouble. Michael Evdoka and the GT3 of Pierre Giguere down in turn 1, boys. Ooh, I don't think they're going to be sending Christmas cards to each other after that one.
Well, Evdoka remains in 3rd position, but he has a bit of damage on his car. Hopefully it's not too bad. And he did come flying in there.
Yeah.
I wonder if Ford had kind of lost control after that point. But yeah, Evdoka's got a whole lap around to go, but then he should be able to come into the pits, make his scheduled stop, hopefully get that fender pulled out.
That car may even need required repairs. It's pretty beat up, Sam. But
Benjamin
now,
Perez.
Evdoka right behind Rizzo and Dumont.
Yep, as you just said there, Benjamin Perez now, Team Bushfink Racing's main driver for this series so far in terms of points, bringing it in for his scheduled stop. Also coming in right behind him now is Roman Galta as well. So a few different drivers, still getting some fuel here.
Scott Keselowski just put it into Champions Wall head on and towed his Ferrari into the pits. Might be there for a little while, unfortunately. Hadn't been having the best of days in the GTE class. And sure enough, Evdoka comes in to get that damage repaired.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to regret that move there. He needs some help on that car.
Now, he comes in right ahead of Blake Haswell, who was behind him for position, so we'll be able to tell how much repairs Evdoka gets based on whether he can get out ahead of Haswell or not.
Sam, going back to what we talked about in the pre-race about fuel, the GT3s are right at where we expected them at the halfway point of the race here, just a little bit past it actually. They are in that window right now where they could just come in and get some fuel, they'll be good to go. Only 2 have pitted. We've had the 1 retirement for Rocky Garcia, but Yavi Uchura is still showing the way. He's now up to a 16.5-second lead.
Update, Haswell has already left the pits quite a while ago. Evdoka still stationary as Sam Fitzpatrick, our overall leader, comes into the pits. Where will he get out in relation to our former leader, Clint Shane Smith?
Well, Clint Shane Smith just came out of La Pingle, so he's making his way up the long straight now.
Now, the bad news for Smith is 2 Ferraris are battling for position ahead of him. Jose Romano Barella, who's able to pull away from Miguel Vigo. Smith's going to want to get by these guys, but he's also going to want to know where Fitzpatrick is. Fitzpatrick only just rolling out, but still going to be close. And Fitzpatrick's ahead by a fair bit.
Gets just out in front of Giguere and the GTE.
Lots of Smith can see Fitzpatrick. He is not that far away. The problem is there's 2 Ferraris in the 4 between them, and they're battling.
Yeah, and you can see, man, the frustration
this
there.
This is intense.
I think there may have been contact there.
Very close, in fact, with Giguere from the GTEs, in fact. And you can see with the straightaway speed, he's finally able to get by, but that might be too much of a gap, Sean.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, Fitzy finally getting around Dexter Castro, who's second in the GT3s. Oh, and okay, that's a Baz. El-Baz off the track there in the hairpin. Boy, Vigo gets by very, very carefully there. Jeez.
That could have been disaster. Miguel Vigo was able to slow up as he came back on the track. In fact, the car that went around Ahmed El-Baz, we'll see this once again. You can see
Castro coming into the pit, and boy, it was really close behind him.
I think Dumont almost runs him off. Let's stay with this replay. Watch Castro and Dumont on pit entry. I think Dumont does get into the back of him.
Got this replay on screen, though, heading down into the wall of champions here. You're going to watch Castro coming in, and then Dumont right there at his bumper on entry. They both peel off at the same time.
The other thing that's significant here is these were the only two cars separating Fitzpatrick and Smith left, so now no traffic between them again.
Dumont already had some front end damage on his car. It looks like he did make contact.
And look how they're coming out.
Yeah.
Dumont right ahead of Castro.
And Jaguar, the GTE Ford, the GT Ford GT right in front of him still.
More scheduled stops. Meanwhile, Maria Reyes coming in. Also, Pascal Annecki, the New York resident, as well as Daniel Krzelski.
As well as our overall leader, Christopher Hendrich, who had been running back around third place, but had inherited the lead through pit stops. And Yavi Utrevis behind.
Okay. Yavi finally in the pits now. All right, I'm following Zaori Zajan right now. He's currently fourth. He is the leader of all the cars that have pitted right now. He's at the hairpin. Yeah, Lucas Dolzer locking him up right behind him. Zajan. Javi is rolling. He's definitely going to get out of here in front of Zajan. I think that lead's going to be safe, and that nice cushion he had.
Zajan just got hit, Sean.
Yeah, Dolzer. Go ahead, Sam. Dolzer, yeah, got him.
Yeah, because Dolzer was coming into the pits. The way pit entry is here, you don't have to slow down as much for the turn as someone who's still committed to the track.
Boy, Utreras, though, great pit stop. Wasn't in there long. That opens up his lead now to just under 17 seconds. Zajan, though, with a good recovery and a good pit stop after some trouble, finds himself 4.5 seconds ahead of Ross Rizzo. All of the GT3s have taken their pit stop, guys.
I was just going to say, with the GTs, a few still have to come in, and particularly some of the lead cars in Vecchio and Brault. You got to expect that with about 16 minutes to go, they're obviously not going to be able to make enough fuel. They're probably going to bring it in the next lap or two. Who knows? As the prototypes have something shaping up, my friends, as Vecchio brings it in.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the top two in prototypes to see if Smith can finally break that duck.
Well, he's trying. Sam, I'm going to be honest with you. He's digging. Not enough yet, but he's getting there slowly. So it's under a second.
Yeah, as far as GTE goes, Justin, championship-wise, I'm really curious to see how Biddle will end up after all these stops have cycled through. Remember, he had that rough start to the race.
Yeah, Biddle had been 48 points back from the start coming into tonight's race, and the bad luck he's had, despite all that, he's still 11th in the group. And he has had his pit stop. He's faster than some of the cars in front of him. It's just he's been having to deal with traffic as well. As speaking of pit stops, Vecchio and Brault, who went in together, are now out of the pits. As Daniel Cruz is turning around one of the GT3s.
Boy, Cruz, that Ford GT, the Ferrari, they were struggling coming out of turn 4, guys. That is a tough spot to get turned around and going again. It gets very, very narrow there.
Boy, and in turn 1, Iannucci almost ran into the back of Clint Shane Smith. Fortunately, it didn't happen, but just more interclass traffic playing jeopardy with less than 15 minutes left to go on the clock.
Yeah, this isn't the right time to gamble all your savings yet, I don't think, that you earned throughout the entire game of Jeopardy. So I think you still have to be a little cautious at the very least. You still have, give or take, about 8-10 laps to go, really, give or take. So it's just, you still have to be a little patient no matter what class you are here, and just wait for the cars to make a mistake to make your move.
Close battle in GT3, Sean, with Zarjon right ahead of Rizzo. Rizzo having a bit of a nice comeback considering he was involved in a Turn 2 collision earlier.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and recovered very, very well. Rizzo has reeled him in. Zarjon had his own little bit of trouble, but he has been solid. And Zarjon, one of those newcomers that we talked about, Sam. Guy's almost got a 5,000 I rating, just shy of it. He has shown his mettle today for sure, but Rizzo trying to keep the pressure on here as we have about 8.5 minutes remaining, or 8.5 laps remaining over the next 13 minutes, Sam. This battle we will keep a very, very close eye on.
Something you should put your eyes on is Pierre-Antoine Jaguar. He got just rear-ended after he got squirrely by Jonathan Brault, second in your GTEs. That was in turns 8 and 9. As we'll check out the replay here real quick, you can see that he was setting up for the pass, then Jaguar just got loose on the exit and got ran over in the back by Brault. Both of them still going, but an apology quickly by Jaguar right after that.
Yeah, fortunately, I think Bolt may have been able to get away with that okay.
Yeah, not too much damage from that. Meanwhile, Vecchio dealing with the GT3 traffic in front of him. So he still might be able to capitalize if the traffic plays out to the factor that he needs, with Vecchio surrounded by a bushel of GT3s.
Boy, and Ross Rizzo not getting any help in his pursuit of Auri Zarjon. As the traffic in front of him has split this up, and boy, Vecchio really, really close to catching a piece of Zarjon. Look at that! Oh man, Doka just splitting the uprights. 3 points.
Oh, and then almost runs off. Remember, if Doka's lost a lot of time and positions due to that lengthy pit stop, and all that passing does bring Rizzo back up with Zarjon, who runs wide at the hairpin. Say runs wide, you could just get a better run out of a hairpin if you use a wider line.
But you also might hit the wall, so it's not the smartest move at times, and you also might spin on the wider exit, which actually did almost happen with Doka out of that hairpin.
Two Mercedes making their way back out onto the front straight with just a little over, or a little under 11 minutes left to go.
In the GT3 class, that traffic we were talking about just moments ago really has helped that Benjamin Dumont. That has allowed him to get close to Rizzo. Maybe put this podium here in question for Rizzo. Dumont got it to just about a second. Some traffic coming through. We've got a GTE of the Jonathan Brault getting in there.
Yeah, since things have calmed down for just a tiny bit here, let's give once again a rundown of the top 5 in each class, beginning with DP. Sam Fitzpatrick now has 2 seconds over Clint Smith. I think traffic had a lot to do with that, but they are about 20 seconds ahead of a third place in class, and that is Christopher Hendricks, who has had quite a quiet race today, just hasn't had the pace of the 2 cars in front of him. Really only 5 DPs have had incident-free races, and the other 2 round out the top 5. Those are Blake Haswell and Aaron Thacker. Justin?
In your GTEs right now, Gianni Vecchio still holding about a 4-second lead over Jonathan Brault at the moment. As Brault, despite that little incident we've seen a few minutes prior, is still cutting his way to the field and running well, but it's still about another 16 seconds back to Alex Simonik, who is in 3rd spot overall. He has had a good run overall. About a 1.5 seconds back from him is your points leader in the class for the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge, and Benjamin Perez. He started 5th and has been, as he bounces over through those corners there, has been having a fairly quiet but competitive day. And rounding out your top 5 is Marino Reyes. As Reyes having a fairly decent day. He has lost 2 positions since the start, though, partially due to a small cutting the course in those last 2 turns, as we've seen Benjamin Perez bounce through. And Sean, you have your GT3s.
Yes, sir, I do. Yavi Utrera is still in the lead in this race. He has been for quite some time. Ross Rizzo up to second. Certainly having a good run today, up 5 spots. And Jairi Zajak, he's also had a good race. He's still holding on to that podium position. But Benjamin Dumont not letting him forget, hey, I'm there. He's got it really, really close. Dexter Castro rounding out the top 5. Again, I see Benjamin Dumont working that machine and looking to take this spot away. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get it done. He can get there, but can he get around? That will be the big question. Oh boy, was that Clint Shane Smith? Spinning in the hairpin, guys.
Oh, Clint Smith here is being shown as 4 seconds back to Fitzpatrick, so sure enough, he has lost 2 seconds this lap, but he will retain that second position. Meanwhile, a driver we mentioned going through the top 5 of each class he hasn't been the biggest mover today, but I think he's been the quietest mover, and that's Alex Simonik. He started quite far back in the GTE class, Justin, but has worked his way into a podium position without us really ever mentioning his name.
Yeah, he's had a fairly quiet run, basically, but we have seen him doing well. Well, overall, I did mention he's still 17 seconds back, yes, but he was part of that grouping that was battling tight in that 4-car train for third on to about 6th or 7th. So he's been having probably the best run possible, and he's still putting up fairly competitive times. He's actually faster than Benjamin Perez right now, and is still technically on the lead lap cycle, and well, no longer is now as Sam Fitzpatrick goes by, but he was still technically on the lead lap before just a couple seconds ago. But with P3, we're going to have to see with the GT3, Sean.
Yeah, well, Ross Rizzo able to finally complete the pass there on Yairi Zajan.
But look at Dumont right behind them both.
Yeah. Dumont still keeping it close. We do have the replay of this pass.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Here we go. Yeah, on the
actually
replay.
Here since Rizzo has taken the position.
Sorry, folks, we missed the replay on that. It was actually
a great battle for second. Yeah, great battle for second going on in closing stages here. And what's most notable about it is Dexter Castro isn't a part of it. Remember, he came into the pits with Benjamin Dumont. He's really dropped back a bit. We got trouble. The veil was off.
Yeah, and a few unhappy drivers. That was a very close, interesting situation. Laville, you can see, clipped the back of what it seems like Hendrick, and that also involved in there was the 11 in the number 12 machine of Ineki. So a very rough situation. Let's take a look at it from the start of the straightaway.
Oh, guys, things erupted in the GT3s. Oh, Zajan gets tipped by Benjamin Dumont heading into the hairpin. Sorry. I know we're watching the replay there, but excitement in the hairpin never fails. Dumont going to get the spot. Here's the replay. And Dumont was the follower. He's going to make the move to the inside down to the hairpin, Sam.
Yeah, I'll get a replay on that incident. Meanwhile, we saw on the first replay the DP that was involved. I can tell you there's been no changes for position in DP as of yet, so hopefully no harm, no foul over in that class, but definitely some late drama here with less than 5 minutes left to go in this race.
Yep, and you've seen in that replay the reason being of that I was just about to say before Sean mentioned was Laville had gone to the back of them. That is something we've seen with a couple different cars with GT3s in this race. But Dumont right now in that GT3 having a good line. Laville, meanwhile, still able to keep it going and is still in 13th in the class with even that. That's still in front of guys like Jesse Stevens right now.
Look how slow Vigo is going in that blue and white Ferrari, just ahead here in the closing stages. That's because there's only a few minutes left. He's got damage on that car. It's better time-wise to nurse it to the finish, I suppose, than it is to try and pit and get it repaired with only 3 minutes left.
Yeah, he had that damage actually, I believe, when he went in for the pit stop. And this was something I was seeing guys like Elliott Biddle end up having in practice. You can see he's trying to get 11th Vigo right now. Just Vigo is just not have the same pace compared to most of the field today. His fastest lap has been in the 132s. And if you want to be in competition for this race, you have to be in the 131s. So Vigo usually someone we see near the front, not having some good luck today. But keeping up with Barella here, trying to claw his way here, heading towards the Lopengo.
Yeah, let's play some math games here. It looks like we have 2 laps left to go because Sam Fitzpatrick, our overall leader, just crossed the line with about 3 minutes left on the clock, or quite a bit less than 3 minutes left on the clock, and it is a 1 minute 30-second lap really for the DPs around here. Now, you see, not a lot of time between Fitzpatrick and Smith. I'm not sure Smith is going to have anything to catch him in these last 2 laps, so, which is unfortunate for Smith considering he has had a string of consecutive strong finishes in this series the past few weeks, but has yet to take home the W. Looks like he will lose out again by just a couple of seconds today, but Willie, we've seen crazier things happen at Montreal.
Guys, Gayuri Zajan, he had a mistake. Not a mistake, but an incident, and he is pulled back into Dumont. This 3rd position on the podium here, still very much at stake. I think Zajan's got probably 1 or 2 bullets left in the chamber here over the next just over a lap now as we head to the Wall of Champions. To complete the penultimate lap, we'll get the white flag right here.
Yeah, and Fitzpatrick just took it. Just took the white flag and extended his lead over Smith on the penultimate lap there. So working his way around these corners right now. The top 3 points contenders in DP are all here today. Carlo Labate, though, did not start the race. That will be a boon for Fitzpatrick in the championship as he is looking set to take his 4th win of the season. However, he's only had 1 win in the past 5 races. I wouldn't say he's had a bit of a rough spell. He's still been getting strong finishes. However, I'm sure he's looking forward to being back on the top step of a podium in just a few moments now as he comes into the hairpin, and then it will just be the long run down the back straight. If he could run out of fuel, that's really the only way I see him losing this race. Smith has closed up a little bit, but I fear it's too little, too late, and I don't think fuel should be a concern considering the fact this race will be ending just after the checkered flag comes out. Look at the top left of your screen there. Checkered flag is basically coming out, I believe, while he's in the final chicane, and sure enough, it's being shown on our screen. Sam Fitzpatrick out of the final turn will win here at Montreal. Clinch Shane Smith in 2nd. And for the 2nd race in a row, we're going to have our GTE and GT3 leaders pretty much take the wins at the same time.
Well, and actually, it's Ross Rizzo and Benjamin Dumont and Gayuri Zajan who come across. Those guys come across and finish. Javi Utreras was so far ahead of him, he still has to complete the lap and come all the way around, Sam.
Yeah, and I think what we're about to see here is Javi Utreras and Gianni Vecchio probably cross the line side by side in the parade format.
Yes, that was what we saw last week at Road America. We may as well see that happen here today as Utreras a good exit as well for Vecchio, as both of them have all but sealed it here As long as they don't make one mistake, they should be good to go. Utreras going fast down the straightaway. Vecchio going back and forth down the straightaway.
Vecchio waving at everybody.
Heading towards the Quebec corner. Both of them passing the world champions. Vecchio going back and forth as he goes across the line. As Utreras wins it for the GT3s. Vecchio for the GTEs.
Nigel Mansell may have a word or two to say about celebrating on the final lap here at Montreal. But fortunately, these two made it across the line. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with drive interviews and the full race rundown. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, where we just witnessed 45 laps of GT and prototype racing around the 2.7 mile street circuit here for round 9 of the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge. Let's take a look at the results, beginning with our DP cars. Sam Fitzpatrick and Clint Shane Smith 1-2, less than 2 seconds apart. Then look at that massive gap they had back to Christopher Hendrich, who rounded up the podium in third. Blake Haswell and Aaron Thacker rounded out the top 5. 3 DPs you do not see on this page because they ran into problems early on. Michael Evdoka, Ahmed Elbaz and Carlo Labate, who did not start. Justin.
In your GTEs, Gianni Vecchio started his celebration down the Casino Straight, and he was able to secure a 5-second victory over Jonathan Brault. Only two GTEs to finish on the lead lap. Alex Semenik finishing in third spot, a quiet but very good run from him. Benjamin Perez, your points leader for the HPP Simulation Sports Car Challenge GTE class, finished fourth overall today. Marino Reyes rounded out your top 5, while Lucas Stelzer finished off 6th. Elliot Biddle had some struggles early on and recovered to make his way up through the field to 7th overall. Pascal Anecki finishing off 8th, Daniel Krasowski in 9th, and Kimberly Almeida in 10th. Jose Ramon Burra holding off Jamie Louisville for 11th and 12 spots consecutively. Miguel Vigo coming away in 13th for the GTEs. Jesse Stevens 14th, Ramon Galda in 15th, and a few drivers who are not on this exact page in the exact order shown on screen. Nathan Groudon finished behind Javi Utreras in the GTEs. A few others had their struggles and were mixed in along with the GT3s. Pierre-Antoine Giguere and Leif Peterson. Ronnie Chapman did not finish, as well as Scott Kozlowski, as well as Andre Caldwell and Ryan O'Sullivan. Sean?
All right, buddy, and now let's look at the GT3 finish here. Javi Utreras with the big win today. That's really going to help his effort here in the season championship. Ross Rizzo with a second place finish. A great run by him. Benjamin Dumont, third place. Gauri Zajan, who I believe we've seen for the first time this season, he'll finish 4th in the GT3s. Dexter Castro gonna finish 5th. That's gonna not help him in that chase of Javi Utreras. Chris Houston will finish 6th. Daniel Cruz 7th. 8th gonna go to Sergio Lopez. He will finish this race, and unfortunately Rocky Garcia deciding to pull off early after an incident, and he will have to settle for a 9th place finish today in the GT3s.
Well, it's been a while since we've had the Sam and Sam post-race show here on the HPP Simulation Sports Car Challenge, but Sam Fitzpatrick, you're back on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, cheers. Feels good. That was a really fun race. Like the track I absolutely love, so that was great fun out there, and super happy to get the win. It's been a couple of races, so yeah, nice to get one.
Yeah, and surely this is a boon for your championship chances, because you were leading the points coming in by 17 points. Carlo Labate didn't make the start of a race, but with your win anyway, you're able to pull away from the competition behind with just 3 races remaining.
Yeah, feels good. I still have a spare drop week, so that's always handy to have in your pocket. So yeah, always good to build the championship lead a little bit bigger, and of course not too many rounds to go now.
Now, I noticed on the chat after the race, Clint Smith, who led the race for the first half, said he ran into a few problems on his own, got a couple of slowdown penalties, and also had a bit of a spin at the hairpin, we believe. Did you have an incident-free race, or did you run into a couple of troubles too?
My race was surprisingly simple, to be honest. I don't think I really made any errors, which was quite nice. Like Clint had more pace than me. I think he had about 0.4 of a second a lap on me, but he like you said, he just ran into a few problems, had a spin or two, got a couple of slowdowns, so that's what let him down. And then also I think he got a bit unlucky with the traffic with his strategy. So that's what got me the win in the end. But yeah, it was quite trouble-free for me, which was nice.
Well, now we go from the island in between the lakes to the track in between the lakes into Lagos. Do you think you can get another W there next week?
Yeah, well, hopefully. Yeah, another good track, good race circuit, so should be fun around there. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
Alright, well thanks for coming to talk to us, Sam, and congrats on your victory tonight.
Cheers.
Alright, and here we go, Justin. We've got our win entry TE.
Yes, we do, as Gianni Vecchio coming away with a 5-second victory in your GTEs today, a victory that he was so excited about. He did burnouts afterwards and celebrated down the casino straight. How do you feel about your victory, my friend?
Yeah, hi. Also quite well. It was an enjoyable race, with Jonathan behind. He managed to give me a lot of pressure, but in the end it was quite enjoyable because it was a lot of fun in the end.
And how would you describe the race? As Sam Fitzpatrick described it, it was fairly quiet. Would you say the same thing about how your race went? Because from the get-go, it seemed you had the speed to pull away immediately with Brault right behind you.
Yeah, not. I would say not boring, but me and Jonathan, we pulled away very early, and we just had to manage the traffic and also the overlapped GTE cars, because it's even harder to pass them than the GT3 traffic. And yeah, in the end, it was just whoever managed the traffic better will win this race.
And you managed the traffic the best way, although you did have some holdups at times with some of the GT3 traffic. Hick, how did you prepare for this race to make sure you were set to go and hit the ground running as you did from the start to compete against a guy like Brault, who has been racing for the past few weeks and has been finishing strong for the past few weeks?
Yeah, I knew that Montreal is a different track, with all those curves, these bumps, and I worked a lot on the setup, and in the end I managed to build quite a nice setup to do these races. And also I did a few races today, which I nearly won all. And yeah, that was the preparation, but in the end it was mainly the setup that I worked on.
Okay, and as well, we got a couple more weeks to go here in the season as we're going to Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace next week. What do you hope to do with your setup for then and the preparations to try and repeat this kind of performance possibly in the same time slot for the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge, if you so choose, my friend?
Yeah, I think I will use one of the setups from the past weeks, because Interlagos is it's more a normal track. You have normal corners and not like high curbs or even harder bumps. Just maybe use our old setup, work a bit with the setup, and maybe then I'm good to go.
Okay, we'll see how you do next week. Thank you very much for the time, Mr. Vecchio, and congratulations on the victory. I'm sure you'll be also celebrating in your dreams, if you probably say so, with all the burnouts you did already on the front straightaway.
Yeah, I will do it in my dreams because it's 4 a.m. for me, so I will go to sleep right now.
Alright, sounds like a good plan. Have a good night. And that was his Vecchio, who's coming away with the victory. Sean Ambrose has someone else from your GT3 class, my friend.
Ross Rizzo, the Australian driver. Ross, I'm guessing right now it's probably almost closing in on lunchtime, maybe a little bit after lunchtime for you right now on a Saturday. That was a pretty exciting race. You find second on the podium. Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, thanks very much. And you are correct, it is about approaching lunchtime, but I'd happily skip that to do another race like that. That, like, as frustrating and crazy as it can be to be in a race full of carnage and aggression like that, you can't deny that they're good fun.
Well, talk a little bit about the carnage and the aggression. It really, from the green flag, from the moment it dropped, you had that GT, the back of the GTE, class just totally messed things up right in front of you guys. What was it like getting through that?
It kind of felt sort of same old, same old. It happens every week in this class, so you do get fairly well rehearsed in those kinds of incidents. But because of how slow and tight and clumsy the corners are, it's a lot more of a driver thing than being able to rely on the grip of the car. It's so easy to get oversteer or understeer and then clobber someone else. I think there was a door-to-door incident coming out of turn number 2 because of that. Someone underestimating the levels of grip that they had. But yeah, it was just a case of backing it off a little bit when there were GTE's cars behind. The GTEs really struggled for pace at this racetrack. So any opportunity they get, they have to take it. So once you know that, you can get through much, much safer. And that's how I made a lot of my positions, I think, because the pace wasn't quite there, but the conservatism was, and it paid off towards the end.
Yeah, I've often found when driving at this track in most any vehicle, to be honest with you, that a little bit of reservation, a little bit of patience generally goes a long way. And the difference between the GT3 class and the GTE today was very marginal. Like you said, they really seem to struggle for power in the very tight sections of the course. You guys seem to be flying through there. I'll tell you what, that made this race very exciting. You had to do a lot of work. I mean, you came up 5 spots to get that second spot. You had a little bit of door-to-door contact. It got a little rough, a little chippy out there, but you prevailed. I'm trying to remember. I think this is the first time we've seen you on the broadcast this season, is it not?
I was here for Road America, where, again, I had to make my way from the back after being turned at turn number 5. And same sort of scenario here. I was turned at turn 2 by Dexter. He just missed his apex a little bit of netcode, and I was around, but luckily no great harm done. But the problem I had was towards the hairpin a couple of laps later with a C7. He later apologized for it, so hats off to him for the sportsmanship there, but it was very, very clumsy, and I was like, how many times am I going to have to make my way through this pack with GTE and C7s flying everywhere, and I'm having to make like Neo in the Matrix here?
Well, shout out to you from Sam Catacozinos Racing there. Big shout out to you there, Rizzo. And listen, it was a lot of fun watching you. Make it back here next week, man. What a great way to spend the middle of your Saturday and come in here and run with these blokes, man. It was a lot of fun watching tonight.
Yeah, I just love this series, and I do like the level of competition in this. Only caught onto it a couple of weeks ago, and then finally made the appearance last week. So I hope to be a more frequent feature of the broadcast, and hopefully more towards the front in future.
All right, Ross. Well, we'll look for you there. Have a great afternoon there down under, and we will see you soon, buddy.
All right, thanks very much. Take care.
That's Ross Rizzo, the big-time second-place finisher in the GT3 class. I think real quickly here, I think Sam's going to talk to, you know what, let's just, what we're going to do, Dexter or Clint here, guys?
Yeah, we've got a second-place finisher in
Clint.
DP here, but we've got Clint Smith. Now, Clint, there's a famous cartoon TV series called Wacky Races with, Dick Dastardly in it. There's this one episode where he falls into a pit right before the finish line and starts complaining that he never gets to win a race. I've got to imagine that's kind of aggravating you right now, because it seems you have really came close in these past weeks. Mr. Smith, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, we got you.
There he is.
I'm saying, you're really getting close to the win, you just haven't taken the checkered yet.
Struggling.
Yeah, third time the charm, Clint. Here we go. Oh, we can see him trying to light up his microphone here, and here we go. Can you hear us, Clint?
It looks like he's having some technical issues, and with that, I believe we do have someone else to speak with as well. Dexter Castro, Sean.
Let's talk to Dex real quick. Dexter, Man, that race got, and I brought this up with Ross when we spoke to him a moment ago. That race got off to a pretty crazy start with the GTE traffic in front of you guys having a bit of an incident there at the back of the field.
Yeah. I mean, it was really sort of an up and down race. If looking at the field, fifth probably wasn't too bad of a finishing position for me, but yeah, I would have liked it to be better because I way underqualified. I should have been able to get it up into second or third, but then I moved forward with all the carnage at the beginning. But then I definitely lost something somewhere in the fuel strategy because I very conspicuously lost about 1 lap of fuel's worth of time in the pits, and sure enough, I had 1 lap extra fuel at the end. So I guess I was just calculating for a slightly faster pace. It was close to going the extra lap, but it wasn't to be. So I mean, I think I could have still potentially had a chance for second or third with all the carnage, but it just didn't work out.
Were you surprised at the marginal difference between the GTEs and the GT3s in the tight sections of this course? Because honestly, we didn't talk about it when we were talking earlier before the race, but that kind of caught me a little bit by surprise. Certainly, you guys were doing a lot of fighting with that GTE traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a practice session right before the race, and I realized I was only 2 seconds off the fastest GTE, and there are GT3 cars faster than me, so it's and the fastest GTE in that session was not a slow guy, so it really wasn't a whole lot of difference between the two. But overall, it worked out okay. There was only a little bit of overlap, maybe a small handful of GTE cars who actually were having difficulties not getting in the way of the GT3s. So I think it all worked out.
Well, Dexter, as always, it was fun watching you get around a track, especially the one here in Montreal, Gilles Villeneuve. I'd say overall a pretty good IMSA race for a Friday evening here in the States. Do you agree? Yeah,
it was good fun. I mean, the level of talent just keeps going up in these broadcast races. So I feel like whereas at one point it was just me trying to hold onto the back of Javi and hoping to capitalize on his mistakes. Now I've got 3 people between me and him, so I can't just hold on to the back of him. I have to fight them. And then even those people are tough to beat. So it's definitely gotten a lot harder to make good points, but it's been a good season.
It has, and I know you enjoy the challenge. So we're going to let you go though, and we will catch up with you next week. And thanks again for giving us a moment there.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, now we're going to bring Clint Shane Smith back in. Clint is there, and I think Sam's got him.
Well, let's see. Do we have him? Clint, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
No worries. We saw you had a great first half of a race again, but it kind of fell apart towards the end.
Yeah, no, I got the pole, got the fastest lap, but unfortunately, 3 slowdowns and a spin doesn't really help my case, unfortunately. So I think what really costed me was after my pit stop, I ended up getting a slowdown. So that's what pretty much allowed Sam to get out in front of me in the pits. And then after that, I just had to push hard, and obviously I was pushing too hard and kept making mistakes. And every time I caught him, made a mistake. Every time I caught him again, made a mistake. Every time I caught him again, made a mistake. So yeah, I lost it for myself, so it's one of those things. But congratulations to Sam on picking up the win. Obviously, it's not always the fastest person on track that gets the win. It's also the smartest person, so good racing by him.
So how frustrating is it, considering the fact we've seen you have some strong performances recently, but just haven't been able to bring home the W yet?
Yeah, no, I mean, after that race, I just laughed because, it's almost as if I don't want to win a race. It's almost as if I just like, I'm happy with second or something like that. But yeah, it'll come eventually. I mean, like a lot of people have been saying, I've got the car speed and things like that, so I just need to pace it all together and then start getting some momentum happening, and I think we'll be set. I mean, I got pole position as well on Thursday night, on Australian SOF night as well, so, and was leading the race, and unfortunately bad luck happened in that race as well. So yeah, it's not just in this series I'm suffering bad luck, it's a lot of other series as well. So yeah, it'll happen eventually.
So Tom Slick or Wacky Racers?
What's that, sorry?
Wait, you ever watch one of them? It's a conversation we've had going on in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I used to watch Wacky Racers when I was young, so good old Dick Stastley, I think it was, and Muttley, so yeah. So yeah, no, my dad used to do the Muttley laugh pretty well going when he was younger, so yeah, no, I used to love watching the Wacky Racers. It was pretty good.
Alright, well we wish you the best of luck next week in Interlagos. Maybe we'll see you on that top step soon.
Yeah, no problem, thanks. And thanks once again to the Performance Sim Sport team and all the sponsors, MF Race Art, Joel Real Timing, my own personal sponsor, MS Flooring, WP Concreting, and West End Mazda. So once again, without them, obviously this car speed wouldn't be here. So fingers crossed next week, we'll be on that top step.
And you will get to see here on the Global Sim Racing channel if Clint Smith is finally able to get the W. And Justin, we're going to have 3 large classes next week, hopefully at Interlagos. But I'll tell you what, that GTE class we see in the middle of the field there, always lots of cars. It'll be interesting to see what they can do on that Brazilian track.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with all the action compared to today. It's going to be a pretty significant race overall, really, for much of the standings, I think, as well. Once all the points are tallying up after tonight's event, we're going to have to see how Interlagos goes.
And Sean, it looks like Javi Utreva's got a little bit of a points gain over in GT3, but we'll have to hold it for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got to hold on to it. He's got one less race than Dexter Castro, so it's important for him to show up here over the next several weeks. But the order of the day for me is sunscreen. I'm getting lots of sunscreen, and I'll see you boys in Brazil.
Yeah, haven't needed it up here while we're in Canada, but we will need it next week. Alright, well, before we go, we got some people we'd like to thank, including HPP Simulation and Mark Hargett for putting on this championship, as well as the IMSA community for putting on a terrific show tonight. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. There you see them, listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Atcombe and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Justin, Andred and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. Our next race is at Interlagos, which will be at 8:45 PM Eastern Time next Friday, right here on the GSRC. We have all of our upcoming races for our other series listed on screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.